So in the previous session, we have discussed about object-oriented programming principles, and we have discussed what are the various basic principles that we have in object-oriented programming, which we used to follow upon building the business logics, and what exactly that each principle indicates, we have discussed in the previous session, and then we have discussed what exactly a class, what it contains, how to define a class in Apex programming, and upon providing the class names, what kind of naming conventions and the coding standards we used to follow, we have discussed in the previous session. Now, so now whenever we are defining an Apex class, we have to specify the access specifier, and then we have to specify the keyword with sharing or without sharing. Right now, this keyword is not required. When moving forward during SOQL queries, we'll see what is with sharing, without sharing. Now, so we can ignore this part now. And then we can specify the keyword class, which is used to indicate that I'm going to be defining a class. So what is the name of the class? This is the name. So upon preparing a new Apex class, we have to specify access specifier. We have to specify the keyword class and then specify the class name. With what name you want to create the class, we have to specify. Now, in this case, class is a standard keyword, we know, because to indicate we are defining a class. Here, this class name we can provide by our own. Whatever the name that we want, we can provide the name for the class. Then, what is this access specifier? What access specifiers are available in Apex programming? What each access specifier indicates, okay, we'll see one by one. Now, so basically, access specifiers are used to define the level of access of the class and its members. That means we are defining an Apex class in my Salesforce arc. Once a class has been getting defined, once the members has been defined, it may be variables, it may be properties, procedures, functions, constructors, anything. Once a class has been defined with the required members also, then once the members has been defined, then up to what level these members can be accessible. Up to what level this class can be accessible, that we can control. So that here, in order to indicate the level of access of the class and its members, in order to indicate the scope of the class and its members, we are using the help of access specifier. Like, for example, so now we are having a class. Now this class can be accessible up to what level? This class can be accessible within my organization or outside of the organization also. Till what level this can be accessible, that we can control with the help of access specifiers. Now, as part of this Apex programming, we have four access specifiers are available. Apex provides four access specifiers like private, public, protected, and the global. These are the four. As part of Apex programming, we have four access specifiers are available: private, public, protected, and the global. Now, so here you can raise a question, sir, access specifiers are applicable at what level? If I am applying the access specifier at the class level, will it be applicable for all the members? No. Class will have its own access specifier, member will have its own access specifier. Now, so that here each class should have its own access specifier, each member will have its own access specifier. That's what I told you during the variables concept also. Like when previously we have discussed the concept of variable definitions. During that first StatCom platform, we have discussed about the variables. Now, While discussing that variables concept also, I told you very clearly over there, whenever we are going to be defining the variables as part of your Apex programming, upon defining the variable also we need to specify access specifier. Because to indicate once a variable has been defined inside the class, till what level this member can be accessible. This variable can be accessible within the class and then outside of the class also, or outside of the organization also. Till what level it can be accessible, that we can control by using this access specifier. So that in order to restrict the level of access of the class and its members, we are using access specifiers. Access specifier can be applicable for both the class level and the member level also both. Class will have its own access specifier, member can have its own access specifiers are available. Now, in this case, in order to restrict this accessibility of the members, we are having four access specifiers: private, public, protected, and the global. These are the four. Then what exactly each access specifier indicates? Now let's see one by one. Okay? Now, make a note of this one. Now, access specifiers are used to define the level of access of the class and its members inside the application development. That is, we can define we can define the scope of the class and its members. Access specifiers can be applicable for both class level and member level. Each class can have its own access specifier and each member will have its own access specifier. Apex provides the below four access specifiers. First one, private. Second one, public. Third one, protected. Fourth one, global. These are the four: private access specifier, public access specifier, protected, and the global. Done with this? Now, let's see. Each and every access specifier will see one by one. What exactly private and the public, protected and the global will see one by one. Done everyone? Now, let's see. For example, assume that I have my Salesforce arc. This is my Salesforce arc. I'm having my Salesforce arc. In my Salesforce arc, I'm having few classes. This is my Salesforce arc. So this is my Salesforce arc. I have my Salesforce arc. Now along with that, I'm having few third-party applications also. I have a Java application. I have a backend based application. I have an SAP application also. Third-party applications are also available. So this is a Java application. I have a Java application. I have a backend based application. I have an SAP application as well. These are the third-party applications. I'm having my Salesforce arc. Along with my Salesforce arc, I'm having few third-party applications are also available here, like as a Java application, backend based application, and an SAP application also. Now, in my organization, I'm having few Apex classes. Now tell me how many Apex classes that we can define within an arc? N number of Apex classes. Now, I'm having an Apex class. I have an Apex class in my Salesforce arc. I have an Apex class. This is my second class over here. One more Apex class. This is another Apex class. This is another Apex class. These are the various Apex classes that we have inside my Salesforce arc. Now I'm having four Apex classes are available inside my Salesforce arc. I have four Apex classes in my arc. These are the four Apex classes are available inside my Salesforce arc. Now, so let me give these class names. So this is the first class over here. So which is having the name, I'm having this Apex class name. I'm having this Apex class name as accounts helper. So this is my first Apex class, which is having the name accounts helper. Now, Hmm. We can't create the class with the name account. Okay. Object name is account. So with that name, we can't create. This is my first class. Next, I'm having one more class with the name contacts helper. It is a second Apex class. I have one more Apex class with the name database helper. I have one more Apex class with the name messaging helper. These are the four Apex classes are available inside my Salesforce arc. Okay. In my Salesforce arc, I'm having four Apex classes: accounts helper, contacts helper, database helper, messaging helper. These are the four classes are available. Now let's take a class accounts helper. Now I'm defining a variable here. I'm defining a variable. How to define a variable generally? A normal variable here in order to store product code which is of type integer. How to define
Data
integer
type in
product code? Okay,
variable
we are
name.
giving the data type and the variable name. Upon defining this variable, I'm indicating this access specifier as private. Okay, while defining the variable, I have given this access specifier as private, private integer product code. So now tell me, whenever we are defining the variable with the name product code, if I'm giving this access specifier as a private, what it means? What this keyword private indicates? What is the level of that particular member? In this case here, whenever we are defining a member as private, then that member will be accessible only by that particular owner. Owner in the sense what? The owner of this particular member. That means the class. Like for example, it's like as a private property. Private property will be using by whom? Only the owner of the property, not other people here. In this case here also, this member has been defined inside the class. Whenever we are defining a variable as type private, then the member will be restricted member within the class. So the member can be accessible within the class only. This variable can be accessible within the class only because this is restricted within the variable inside the class. It's a private member of the class, so the private members can be accessible within the class only. Suppose when you try to access this member from any other class, Salesforce won't allow. When you try to access this member from this class also, it won't allow. When you try to access this member from this class also, it won't allow over here. Okay. Now, in this case, whenever we are defining a member as a private, private members can be accessible within the class only, not from outside of the class over here. Okay. Now, so now here in this case here, let's see. So the private members of the class can be accessible within the class only, not from outside. This is the restriction over here. Clear to this one? Now, let's see. Now, for example, I'm defining one more variable, string product name. I'm defining a variable with the name product name, which is of type string. That means what? Sorry? Hmm. That is product code. This is product name. Okay. Now, hmm. Right. So now in this case here, as part of this class, I'm defining a member with the name product name, which is of type string. So now here I haven't given any access specifier. I haven't specified private, public, global, nothing. If I'm not giving any access specified, if I forgot to specify the access specifier for the member in the class, then what is the default access specifier? Now, in this case, whenever we are going to be defining the member, if the user did not specify any access specified, then Apex class will be considering this member as private by default, not public. It may be any object-oriented programming language. If you are defining any members without any access specifier, those will be considered as private. That means it will be restricted always. Initially, it will be having restriction. If you want, we can expose by giving them as public. Okay? Sorry? Hmm. Now, when you go to the Java, also you are having first three are common. Private, public, protected are common. Then you will be having additional okay, access specifiers in Java programming. In Apex, we are having one more additional that is global. Okay, access specifier names will be common in all the programming languages. Hmm. Right. This will be default private. Now, in this case, whenever we are defining the member inside the class, it may be any data type member. Upon defining the member, if it did not specify any access specifier, then by default, Salesforce will be considering that member as a private member of the class. So, private members can be accessible within the class only, not from outside. These are like as private properties. Private property will be using only by the property owner. Like that, this is a class. These members are the class members, so that these members can be accessible within the class boundary only, not from outside. Okay, clear? Now, in this case here, there is a small point. You can raise a question, sir, can I define a class as private? No. A normal business logic class cannot be defined as a private. Why? Because generally, why we are preparing the classes to write some business logic. What is the use of the business logic to perform some operations? Where in my application in different places. So we can write it once, we can access in multiple places. Suppose if I'm defining a class as private, it's a restricted one. If it is restricted, we can't use those members. We can't perform those operations. We can't use that business logic. If the business logic is not at all usable, then what is the use of preparing the class? What is the use of writing that business logic? For that reason, a normal business logic class should not be defined as private. Only test classes will be defined as private here. Only test classes. To do the unit testing, we are preparing test classes. Test classes, we can define them as private. A normal business logic class should be always defined either public or global, any one of these two. Okay, clear? Now, let's see. Make a note of this one. Private access specifier. Private members of the class can be accessible within the class only, but we can't access these members from outside of the class. If the user did not specify any access specifier for the member, then Apex will consider the member as private by default. A normal business logic class can't be defined as private, but we can define the test classes as private to perform the unit testing. This is the functionality of private access specifier.
Sir, sir, please explain me the last point, sir. Normal business logic class.
So whenever we are creating a class to implement the business logic, don't define that class as private because business logics we are implementing for the reusability. But if you are defining as private, this can't be reusable. For that reason, don't define an Apex class for the business logic as private. But testing classes, we can define them as private. Only for unit testing purpose, we are doing
Okay, sir. Thank you.
that. Clear up to this one? Next, second one. Public access specifier. What it means, now let's see. For example, I'm defining a member. I'm defining a member as public. Public string email address. I'm defining a variable with the name email address which is of type string, and this member I have defined with the access specified public. Now tell me, whenever we are defining the member as public, then what is the level of access of this member? Hmm. We can access it from all the Apex classes also. Now, because it's a public member here, public members can be accessible by all. So whatever the member we have defined, this member can be accessible within the class. This member can be accessible within this class also. This member can be accessible inside this class also. This member can be accessible in this class also. So whatever the member that we have defined as public, public members can be accessible within this entire organization. Suppose when you try to access this public member from outside of the organization from any third party system, it won't support. It won't allow because public members accessibility, the scope will be within the organization only, not from outside. Outside of the organization we can't access them. We can access them within the entire organization. Wherever you want we can use it, but outside of the organization we can't access these members. That is a visibility level of public access specifier. Okay, clear? So that here whenever we are implementing your own custom business logic classes will be defined as either public or global, not private. Okay, clear? Next, make a note of this one. Public members of the class can be accessible within the class and from outside of the class also within the entire organization. Within the entire organization. But we can't access these members from outside of the organization. Note. Always a business logic class should be defined either public or global. Always a business logic class should be defined either public or global. Hmm. If we're defining the class, inside the class we can prepare our own procedures. Within the procedure, we can write the business logic. That we'll see when moving forward. Okay? Right, exactly. Not accessible. Not accessible. Within the class only. If you want to access that, okay, member from the child classes, we have to use protected. Done with this? Next, third one, protected access specifier. Let's see what exactly it is. Suppose, for example, we have two classes are there, accounts helper and then contacts helper. So now these two classes are related classes. These two classes are having relation. These two classes are having relation. Like when you go to your Salesforce org, okay, during the objects creations, we are mapping some relations between the objects also by using lookup relationship, master detail, hierarchical, one to one, many to many, like that, different associations we have mapped. And here also, as part of your object-oriented programming, whatever the classes that we are going to prepare, between those classes, we can map some relation with the help of inheritance feature that already we have discussed in yesterday's session. So we can able to map the association between the two classes by using inheritance. That means we can inherit one class into another class. We can access the members of one class into another class. So the first one will be acting as parent class, second one will be acting as child class. Now in this case here, these are the two classes are available, accounts and the contacts helper. Now, this accounts helper class is the parent class. Assume that this is the parent class. Now, this class is the child class. Okay, this class is the child class. Now, in this case, now tell me, for example, assume that I'm defining a member as a private decimal balance amount or unit price, whatever, anything here. I'm defining a member. Whenever I'm defining the member as a private, what is the scope of this member then? This member can be accessible within the class only, not on any other classes here. Suppose if I'm defining this member as public, then accessible from all the classes. But now my requirement is I have some requirement like this. So now my project specific requirement where I want to define a member inside my class. This member can be accessible within the class. This member can be accessible in related child classes also. But when you try to access the same member from other independent classes, it should not allow to access over here. This is what my requirement. In such cases, we can define this member as protected. Basically, protected access specifier has been introduced because of inheritance feature. In that case, if you want to define a member in the parent class, if you want to access those members from the related child classes also, then we can go with as okay, protected. If I'm defining it as public, it will be accessible, but not only in the child, in other independent classes also it will be accessible. But I don't want to do that. I want to make this members can be accessible only by that respective class and its related child classes only, not from other independent classes. In that case, we have to define this member as protected member here. Protected member. So protected member can be accessible within that class and from the related child classes also, not from other independent classes. Okay? Now, make a note of this one. It has been introduced because of inheritance. Because of inheritance feature. If the member has been defined as protected, then we can access a member within the class and from all the related child classes. But protected members can't be accessible from other independent classes. Next, one more point here. This protected access specifier cannot be applicable on the classes. This can be applicable only for the members, not for the classes. Okay? Now, we can't define a class as protected. It can be applicable only on class members. Protected access specifier can be applicable only for the class members, not for the classes. Multi-level, not multiple. For multiple, we have to go for interfaces. Same like as your Java. Okay? Multi-level. Now, see. For example, I have a class, class A. This class A can be inherited into class B. This class B can be inherited into class C. This can be inherited into class D. Now, so now here in this case here, now this is called as multiple levels of inheritance. Now, multiple means what here? Multiple inheritance means I'm having a class A and then I'm having a class B. When you try to inherit it, both the class A and the class B into the class C. This is called as multiple. But in this case, multiple inheritance will not be supporting by Java, .NET, Python, and then Apex programming also. It won't support. To achieve this, we have to use one class and then one interface. Instead of using two classes, we have to use a class, we have to use interfaces. Okay? Sorry? Now, yes, right. So now whatever the protected access specifier is available, we can't define a class as protected class. It will be applicable only for class members. Okay? Now see, for example, here I'm defining a class. Now upon preparing a class, for example, if I'm defining a class like this, protected class, some sample, it won't allow. Because here we can able to specify either global or we can use public. If it is a test class, we can define it as private. Okay. Now, so we can't define the class with protected access specifier because these will be applicable only for members. Because if I'm having some multiple classes which are having some relation, in order to make a member can be accessible from related child classes also. If you want to access, then we can go with protected here. Okay.
Uh,
Next.
sir,
Next one.
uh, sir,
Now I'm having this class A and the class B and the class C.
sub protected members of A can be accessed by C.
Now, suppose here, whenever I'm defining a member, okay, yeah, suppose for example, this is a variable X variable I'm defining here inside my class A. If it is a public member, now this public member can be accessible from class A also, B also, C also. Fine. If it is a private member, then this can be accessible only in class A. Suppose if it is a protected member, then this can be accessible in class A, B, and the C also. In these three classes, we can access it. Okay. Next one, global. For example, I'm defining a member as global here. Global Boolean. Now I would like to specify. So now is active. I'm defining a member here. This is a global member. Now tell me what is the scope of this global member then?
It can
This
be
global
accessed by the
member can
third
be
party
accessible,
application also.
okay, within this class. This can be accessible from other independent classes also inside the organization. From every class, we can make this member can be accessible. And along with that, this member can be accessible from third party applications also outside of the organization. So if you want to make a member can be accessible from outside of the organization from third party systems, then we have to define them as global. Now tell me generally in what kind of situations we can define these members as global. In what kind of scenarios we can define them as global.
Integration.
Integrations, right? Whenever we are integrating your Salesforce R with the third party systems, then at that time we are going to be defining them as global. So in this case, each and every web service, each and every API, every batch class, schedule class should be defined as global. Okay, clear? Now, so in this case, it's a common question in most of the interviews, difference between public and the global. Public will be accessible what? Within the organization only, not from outside. Global members can be accessible from outside of the organization also. Okay? Now, make a note of this one. Global. Global members of the class can be accessible within the class or within the organization and from outside of the organization also from any third party applications. Note. Each batch class, comma schedule class, comma web services and APIs should be defined as global. Each batch class, schedule class, web services, and APIs should be always defined as global because these will be used to integrate with the third party systems. These will be executing outside of the organization. So that we need to make these members can be accessible from outside of my organization so that we are defining them as global. Done with this? These are the four access specifiers are available as part of your Apex programming, which we can use upon defining the classes and its members. Okay. Now, so now let's see how can we define Apex classes now. In order to define the Apex classes, whatever the fundamental basic principles are required, already we are aware of now. How to give the class name, what is the syntax, what is access specifier, what is the functionality of each access specifier, everything we know. Now we need to define the Apex classes. Then where we can define what are the various ways that we have in Salesforce to define an Apex class. In order to define an Apex class in Salesforce, we are having four ways are available. Salesforce provides four ways. From out of these four ways, one will be okay, one will be from third party, remaining three will be from Salesforce organization. Okay, now. So in order to define your Apex classes, we have four ways are available in Salesforce. First one, by using standard navigation. With the help of standard navigation, we can define an Apex class. That is the first way. Second way, developer console. By using developer console also, we can define an Apex class. Third one, URL format. By using URL format also, we can define an Apex class. And the fourth one, VS Code Editor, Visual Studio Code Editor. These are the four ways are available to define your Apex classes. Now, so now we'll see two ways today here. Okay, we'll see how to define an Apex class by using standard navigation, developer console. URL format we'll see during Visual Force programming, Visual Studio Code Editor we'll see when moving forward because it's a separate third-party tool we need to install into a local system. Okay, now let's see. Make a note here. Ways to create an Apex class. Salesforce provides the below four ways to create an Apex class. First one, by using standard navigation. Second one, by using developer console. Third one, by using URL format. Fourth one, by using Visual Studio Code Editor. This is also called as VS Code. Let me give the navigation of that first one, standard navigation. In order to define an Apex class, how to go to the standard navigation, let me give you the step by step. Click on Setup menu, search for the option Apex classes in Quick Find box. Go to the Apex classes section, click on New button, write the Apex class code inside the editor, click on Save or Quick Save button, click on Save or Quick Save button. This is the navigation. Second one, developer console. Click on Setup menu, go to the developer console link, go to the developer console editor, click on File menu, New menu item, Apex classes link. Enter the Apex class name inside the text box provided by the dialog box. Click on Submit button. Write the business logic inside the inside the editor. Save the class code by using Ctrl S. Done with this? Now, let's see. How can we define an Apex class? Now, let me show you with practical. So first, let's go with standard navigation. How can we prepare an Apex class? Now, let me show you. Then we'll see what kind of difficulties that we have in this standard navigation, and then how can we implement those functionalities by using developer console. We'll see that. Let's take a small use case now. Define an Apex class to hold the customer details. Define the required members in the class to store the customer data. I want to define an Apex class to store the customer details. Now tell me generally related to the customer, what kind of data that we can store? Customer ID, customer name also, and then what else? Balance amount, and then okay, billing address, shipping address, contact number, email ID. Okay, all these details we can able to define. So now let's see how can we do this one. Now let me explain. Now I'm going to my Salesforce org. So let's go to my Salesforce org now. Now I'm going to my org. Go to the quick find box. Search for the option Apex classes. Search for the option Apex classes. Click on this link Apex classes. Now it will list out whatever the Apex classes that you have created in the past. Now it is indicating this. I'm deleting this class also. Now. So now tell me, do we have any Apex classes as of now? No. We haven't prepared any Apex classes. Click on new button in order to create a new Apex class. Just you can click on new button to create a new Apex class. As soon as once you click on new button, an editor will be given by Salesforce. So now this is the editor. In this editor, we need to write your piece of code. Whatever the business logic that you want, whatever the features that you want to implement, everything we can able to write inside this editor. Now this editor will be same like as your normal notepad editor, nothing else. It's purely normal notepad editor which will be having white background, black text. But no IntelliSense, okay, but no IntelliSense, no auto save options. Everything we have to do manually. Let's see. Here we are going to be writing this code, but now it is showing the characters as very small. Now I would like to increase the font, so just you can click on capital A symbol so that we can able to increase the font also. If you want to decrease the font, then use that small a symbol here. We can decrease the font depends upon your eye contact. Now I would like to make it as maximized over here. Now this is the normal notepad editor. Now we need to define the class. Now tell me how to define the class now. Syntax. What is that access specifier
Public
you use now?
public class
Can
Public
I use
class
pub,
private?
public class.
Can I use private for my class? No.
No, sir.
We have to go
Only
with
public
either
or
public
global.
or global. Now
Global.
I'm defining it as public.
Public
Next
class. Customer
class.
details.
Right.
Customer
I'm
details.
defining a class with the name customer helper. Okay, we can give any name whatever you want for the class. So now better to start that class name with uppercase letter. Okay. Please follow that naming conventions. Now, so now here I'm going to be defining that class. This is the class name which you have provided here, public class name. Now I would like to define the members inside the class. Related to the customer, we are collecting so much data. Now I'm defining the members. I would like to define the members as public. Public integer, customer code, customer age. Now public string, customer name, and then current employer. Hmm. Now this one, camel case variables, right? Okay. Now, now in this case here, now this is a class. Class will be Pascal case, variable will be camel case. Just by looking into the name itself, we can understand is it variable, is it class. Okay. Starting with the small means member. Starting with capital means class. Okay, this is the indication. Now, I'm indicating email address, contact number, and then mailing address. These are the members I have defined. Next, I would like to specify public decimal. I want to specify the current CTC or balance amount here, loan amount. I'm defining two members. Public date, birth date, joining date. Public boolean is active. Whether this customer is still active customer or not, we need to indicate here. Clear? This is how we can able to define your own class. We can define the members inside the class here. Okay? Now, so now in this case, whenever we are going to be defining the class and its members by using this standard navigation, here we are having few difficulties. Here we are having few difficulties are available. The first one, as part of this, okay, as part of this standard navigation, it won't provide any intelligence. Intelligence option is not available in standard navigation. That means whenever I'm writing some code over here, if I'm using the keyword apex, it is providing options over here. Starting with the AP, whatever the characters are available, it is populating in the form of list. This is called as intelligence. This kind of intelligence option is not available inside this standard navigation here. This is the first problem. So whatever the classes you are going to use, whatever the methods we are going to use, each and every class name, each and every method name, there is syntaxes, there are parameters, there are data types, there are order, everything we should be remember here. This is the problem. Okay, the first problem is whenever we are using this standard navigation, it won't provide any intelligence while writing the code. Each class name and the method name, there is syntax, there are parameters, everything we have to remember here. This is the first drawback. Second drawback is standard navigation won't provide any auto save option. Like, for example, assume that since last 2 hours, keep on continuously I'm writing the code over here. I haven't saved this code over here. Now, I would like to save the code. Assume that I have written some 200 lines of code in the last 2 hours regarding my requirement. Because by evening 6 o'clock, I have a deliverable. I need to deliver that code to the client. So now for that reason here, I'm writing this code. I haven't saved the code till now. When I'm about to click on save button, suddenly my system has been shut down because power went off, internet connection has been disconnected here, so my system has been shut down. Now, in this case, whatever the 200 lines of code that we have written, what about that code? Will that code will be saving inside your file? No. After 5 minutes, once the power has been restored back, okay, once you relog in into your application, when you go to that screen, whatever the 200 lines of code that were written, the whole code will be lost. You can't get back that code here. This is the second problem that we have. That means we don't have any autosave option as part of your standard navigation. Okay. This is the second problem that we have. These are the two major problems are available as part of your standard navigation. Okay. Now, so once the code has been getting prepared, then we can able to save this code. Once the code has been prepared, then we have to save this code. Don't waste these characters over here. Write the code okay in optimized manner because Salesforce will be counting every character from there onwards. Now click on save button. Once you click on save button, my class code will be saving inside that metadata repository. Then what is the name of that class? Customer helper. What is the name of the file? Customer helper dot apxc. Right. Okay. Customer helper dot apxc. Clear? Understood the concept now? Next. In future, if you want to modify the code, what we can do? Click on edit
Come,
button. You can go to this editor again. We can make the changes whatever you want. Whatever the changes that you want, we can make the changes from there onwards. Okay? Clear?
can we see here compile time error, sir, in Apex classes?
Now, in this case, whenever we are writing this a piece of code, suppose for example here, now upon writing this a piece of code, I did some mistakes. After this loan amount variable, I forgot to specify the semicolon here. Now, in this case, when I try to save this code, it will be compiling the code first. During the compilation, if there is any syntactical mistakes, it will show here itself. See, when I click on this save button, it is indicating there is a compilation error over here, missing semicolon at the public at line number 6 and then at the column number 5. It is indicating at the line number 6, now here it is having public. But before this public, it has to be end the previous statement. So the line number 5 is not ended properly over here. So we need to specify the semicolon first, then we need to start that public keyword. Now I'm indicating this semicolon here. Now save this class code. Okay, clear? Understood the concept now? This is how we can able to define Apex classes by using standard navigation. Okay, make a note of this class. Now we will see one more scenario by using developer console. Done with this? Next, second one. Let's take one more use case now. Define an Apex class to hold the employee details. Define the required members in the class to store the employee data. To store the employee details, I would like to define the required members. Done with this? Now, let's see. So let's see how can we define an Apex class through developer console this time. Go to the setup menu, click on developer console. Now a developer console editor will be getting opened in a separate browser window. Now click on file menu, new Apex classes. Now click on this option Apex class because I want to create a new Apex class. Now I would like to specify the class name as some employee helper. You can give any name also, employee details, employee info, whatever, anything. Now click on OK button. Now automatically the class structure will be preparing the Salesforce. Observe the difference here. If it is a standard navigation, it is providing one empty editor to me. In that one, the class definition also we need to prepare. But as part of this developer console, whatever the name that we have given for the class, with that name, it is going to providing the class structure automatically. Class template is available. Just we can able to define the members. We can write the business logic inside this. Now, inside this class, we need to define the members. I'm defining the members here, public, integer, employee code, employee age, public string, employee name, contact number, designation, email ID, department name. Now, current employer. These are the members over here. I'm defining the members, employee name, contact number, designation, email address, department name, current employer. Next, I would like to specify that public decimal current CTC. I'm indicating current CTC, public date, birth date, and then joining date. Now, I would like to specify here. Now I want to indicate Boolean is active. Whether the employee is still working in this organization or not, to indicate that we are writing these numbers over here. Okay. Now this is the way we can able to define an Apex class in developer console. Now let's come to the benefits. As part of this developer console, it provides intelligence features. It provides intelligence features. Like for example, let me show you. I'm defining a method here. I'm creating this object of the account class. We'll see what exactly is functionalities. We'll see when moving forward here. So now just for your information, I'm showing over here. Here we can specify ACC dot whatever the field names are available inside this account object, all the field names are visible as IntelliSense to you. Each and every field name will be visible as IntelliSense. You no need to remember the field names; those are available as IntelliSense. But this kind of IntelliSense feature will not be available in standard navigation. It's like as a normal notepad editor here. Okay. Custom fields also everything. See, customer priority underscore C. All the fields, SLA also. It may be active status also. All the field names will be populated, not only for standard object, for custom objects also. See, if I'm creating the object of hiring manager class, now I would like to access that members over here. Now, whenever we are accessing the members, each and every field name will be populated. Standard fields, custom fields, everything we can able to access over here. This kind of intelligence will be available, okay, for this particular, okay, developer console. This is the first benefit. Next, second benefit is, as part of this developer console, it provides auto compile option. It provides auto compile option, not auto save, auto compile. That means what? Whenever I'm writing that piece of code, for every 10 fraction of seconds, okay, for every 10 seconds, whatever the code we have written till now, this whole code it will send to the compiler for compilation automatically. That means whenever I'm doing the development, whenever I'm writing the code, at the same time compilation also will happen. So both the development and the compilation both will be happening parallelly as part of your developer console here. Now, why? Because here is why it is giving this kind of information. Suppose for example, if I am using that standard navigation, after writing 100 lines of code, when I click on save button, then it will compile the code. It will show all the error messages, okay, at the last. But whenever if the error messages are visible at the starting itself, then we can able to rectify those issues in the starting stage. For that reason here, it is going to be providing auto compilation automatically. Let's see. Whenever we are writing this a piece of code, for example, current CTC. After writing this current CTC, if I'm not giving any semicolon over here, just I'm removing the semicolon, just I'm sitting idle. Within 10 fraction of seconds, this code will send to the post.com platform. It will compile the code. If there is any issues are available, it will represent here. So now at the line number 5 and 6, it is showing two red color exclamation symbol, which is indicating in these lines there are some mistakes are available. Then what is that mistake here? How to check? Just we can go to this tab bar. When you go to the tab bar, we are having a tab called as problems tab. Now expand this tab bar. We have a tab called as problems tab here. Now it is indicating that error message information over here, unexpected token, current CTC at the line number 5. Now because that statement is not ended properly over here, we need to specify here. Let's see. Just I'm giving semicolon. I'm not saving anything. I'm sitting idle. So within 10 seconds, it will send the code to the force.com platform. It will compile the code here. If there is any issues are available, it will show, or else it will clear all the issues automatically. So both the development and the compilation both will be happening parallelly in developer console over here. Clear? These are the two major benefits are available in developer console. Now tell me which one you would like to prefer to write the code. Developer console. Developer console is the best option to write the piece of code. Okay, now once the code has been getting prepared, how can we know whether my code has been saved or not? How do you know whether your code has been saved or not? In this case, this is the file name preparing the Salesforce. Employee helper.apxc. This is the class code. This is the file name. After this file name, here we are having a small star symbol. The star symbol is indicating this class code is not yet saved. Okay, this class code is not yet saved. So if you want to save the code, what needs to be done now? Do we have any save button in this editor here? No. We need to save this code by using Control S as a shortcut here. Go to this editor, use Control S. Now it is indicating saving here. Once the class code has been saved, it is indicating the name employee helper dot apxc. Do we have any star symbol over there? No. That means my class code has been saved successfully. This is the indications. Okay, clear? Now, next one. One more small point over here. So now just now few minutes before, we have prepared a class with the name customer helper by using standard navigation. Can I see that class over here? Yes, I want to make some changes. How can we do that? I want to get that class code here. You know, in our configuration part already we have discussed. Go to the file menu, click on open. Because we are not creating new, I would like to see the existing one. Click on open. In the left panel, it is populating that elements. Now I would like to see that classes. Now here this is the class code which we have prepared. Just you can double click on the class name. The class code will be getting opened. Here we can make the changes. We can save from here onwards. You can write the code by using any manner. We can make the changes by using any other options over here. No restrictions. No, from developer console we can write, we can modify, we can't delete. If you want to delete that class code, we have to go to standard navigation. Okay, clear? Now, these are the two ways are available in order to prepare your own Apex classes inside your Salesforce R. Clear up to this one? Feeling comfortable now? How to prepare a class, how to define the members, access specifiers, data types and everything? So as of now, we have discussed how to define the classes and with the required members. Then how to access these members with the help of object, we'll see in next session. In the next session, we'll see how can we access these class members by creating an object of the class, how to assign the values for these members, how to retrieve the values from the members, we'll see practically in the Monday session. Monday we'll be having the continuation session of this classes over here, how to create the objects, we'll see practically. Yes, yes.
Sir,
Whatever
in
the name
developer,
you are giving for the class, with the same name, it will prepare in the file automatically. Suppose if you make the changes in the class name, file name also will change automatically over there. It won't allow. We can't create two classes with the same name. It will show the error message. See, suppose I'm creating a class with the same name. Yes, with a different name, you can create a number of here. When you try to create one more class with the same name, it will show the error message here. Logic, you can write anything. Same logic also can copy and paste. Sorry? Now see, in that case, whatever the name that you have given for this class, with the same name, it will create that class file also. Suppose if you're creating one more class with a different name, different file name will be available. Here, if you're changing this one, see, if I'm indicating employee info, automatically file name will be getting reflected over there. Okay. No, no, see, the child class, parent class, both are different, right? Then files will be different. Hmm. Both will be two different classes. Their files will be different. Class names will be different. Now this is the second class. No, no. So here within a single file you can't create two classes here. Okay. So now here each class will be in a separate file. Okay. In the ninth line we can't create one more class name here. Okay. Okay. Thank you.